miserably. We had a bad partnership. And in that, I realized that like I wasn't really good at running a hospitality business, but I was really good at marketing one, and really good because like you guys just said, I would have other bar and restaurant owners would call me all the time, like, how'd you get so many Facebook fans? How'd you get so many 5-star reviews? How'd you guys build this giant email list? And like, we're really good at marketing. We're just really bad at operations. So, when I left that business, and honest to God, we sold that business in 2016 at a loss, right? As we talk now, it's 2021. I actually still have debts from that business, and I still write a $300 check every month to pay off the debts from that business. Now, I like to point this out. I could actually write a check today to pay off the entire debt, but I don't, because just writing like that $300 check a month was like my little jab back at it. You know what I mean? Like I could just get back to it. Anyway, I learned a lot in that process. And when we lost that business and we got out of it, I was like, look, I'm not an operator, right? They don't call them restaurant marketers. They call them restaurant operators because they're good at operations. So I'm a restaurant marketer. I'm good at that piece. Yeah. And I dedicated my career from that moment forward into how can I help restaurant operators who are not good at marketing, to help them with that. And I've spent time in software and technology and marketing and all that stuff. And so that's how I'm here today. I think where that really comes into play, February of 2020, I was the chief marketing officer at a software company, and I got let go, not because I sucked, but because there was a global pandemic and the company was owned by TripAdvisor, and they were feeling the flow of no people traveling. Yeah. So on February 27th of 2020, me and 60% of the senior management staff got let go. I came home that day and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. We got a house and a mortgage and health insurance. Like, I would have freaked out like everybody. Instead, I started calling all my friends who owned restaurants and people that worked in the businesses, like, what can I help you with? And at the time, everybody was using third party to get delivery orders because we're shifting to an all delivery and takeout model, right? You couldn't, with the pandemic, you couldn't order on premise. You couldn't go eat in a restaurant. And so now restaurants were super reliant on Grubhub and DoorDash and Uber Eats to get more orders. It was the only way. And so I kind of dedicated myself in that moment to helping restaurants to break the chokehold of third-party delivery apps and get their guests to order more frequently instead.
Yeah. And what I love about your story too is you started this episode by giving us your success quote to focus on a few things and do a few things really well. Sometimes you got to fall hard on your face to figure out what it is that you do well. And I just love when I see successful people who have gone through shit and come out the other end far more successful. And know that if this is your first venture, if you're striking out into the world with your first business, know that there's a good chance you might fail. But the purpose of that business really is to figure it out, right? To figure out, like, just to take a chance, and be willing to be receptive to the world and figure out exactly what it is you're doing well, and be willing to admit what you don't do well, right? Awesome stuff. I think that really reinforces how we started today's episode. And let's get into it. I love this. So just real quick, Ariel, what are you going to be covering today? Give us a big picture and then we'll start to dissect.
Yeah, I'll give a recap. So Rev and I were chatting a couple months back about, we always like to collab on, doing live webinars and other fun things to just share our knowledge. And we were talking about getting people to take real action from Instagram, right? Because we actually connected through Instagram, Rev and I, and the likes and the comments, those are great, right? But there's a quote out there, I think Matt Plapp says it, right, Rev? He says, you can't deposit likes in the bank. And so what we really wanted to do is teach people how to convert those followers into customers by actually ordering and using Instagram and other digital, channels as a source to drive them to your website or to drive them to order directly from you. So we've created an ebook. We've got 5 tactics. We've got a couple bonus tactics in there, and we're excited to share a little bit with your followers here.
Yeah. So the 5 bullets I wrote down for the items we're going to be covering today: optimize your profile, use order now buttons and stickers, Instagram, make your Instagram shoppable, create a guide of products, or did you say 4 products before?
A guide of your products.
Yeah, a guide of your products, and use strong calls to action. So let's just get right into it. That first bullet: optimize your profile. What do you mean by optimize your profile?
So I'll take this one. So oftentimes when we've got, independent restaurant owners bootstrapping their way, trying to figure things out on their own, they set up an Instagram account. They might not realize that there's a lot more access to analytics and features by setting up a business account and not a personal Instagram. So, if talking about setting yourself up for success, you really want access to all of that information so that you know what's working and you're not just kind of going in blind. So, it's really easy to set up or convert your Instagram account from a personal to a business account. You have it outlined in the ebook, but it's really a matter of Googling it, just a couple clicks and steps to convert, and it's completely free. So there's no reason why you shouldn't convert to a business profile.
And where are we going to look at that? Like, where do we navigate to find that option to convert to a business profile?
So basically you have to go into your settings and then you go to account, and then you should be able to scroll down and it lets you switch to a professional account.
Yeah.
There is something new called a creator account. I wouldn't worry about that. That's more for bloggers and creators. Rev, I don't know if you have any thoughts about creator accounts, but I've stuck with a business account myself and I find it to work pretty well.
Yeah, you're operating a business, you should have a business account. Like, it's plain and simple. And there's efficiencies that you gain in having that you need. And there's analytics that you get that you can't have otherwise. So the step one, make sure that if you're a business, you're using a business profile. Absolutely.
Okay. You said there's efficiencies and analytics to gain when you set up a business account or a business profile. What are those efficiencies and analytics that we wouldn't otherwise have access to?
Well, there's things like, you want to have an order button and you want to see what what does your follower growth look like? There's a lot of back end analytics that are available that, best time of day to post, or, what is your follower growth or attrition look like? So you don't get any of those in a regular profile. So, hopefully, I'm guessing most people who are watching this or reading or listening to you probably already have a business profile. So I don't know that we should dangle too long on this, but basically, like, if you're not already on a business profile, like, do it. You're a business. That's what you should use,
Yeah. That's the easy switch. And then as far as the profile itself, there's ways that we can optimize that first impression. So when you do get someone to land on your profile, what are you showing them in the first 2 to 3 seconds that gives them enough information to keep on your page and scroll and learn more and order pretty quickly? So, you want to have the basics. Think of it as a digital storefront. Where are you located? What kind of food do you sell? Can you pre-order? You have one link in your bio. Where are you driving people to? Are you using your highlight section? I like to think of the highlight section as the different tabs on your website, right? So like, what's your menu? What are your, how do you order? Maybe a little behind the scenes of your crew, maybe a little customer love, showing some user generated content, maybe your safety protocols. What are you doing these days to keep your staff and your customers safe?
Got it. So looking through this list you just dropped on us, you talk about the highlight section. Get into that. What is the highlight section exactly?
So the highlight section are those little bubbles that are saved at the top of your profile. They're basically Instagram stories that you have saved. So they don't disappear after 24 hours. You're saving them and you're categorizing them in a way that people can view afterwards. So they're different hot topics that you want people to tap through and learn more about your business enough that they want to order from you.
What are some of the most common effective topics you're seeing restaurateurs use and have success with?
Topics for the highlights?
Yes.
So I went over a few, but definitely menu, definitely how to order. It's really nice to humanize your brand as well. So I love it when a restaurant will show you behind the scenes of, here's our head chef, here's our story. Today we're featuring the employee of the month. Here's a fun fact about Steve. Here's Steve baking a latte or the burger, whatever it is. And then also showing some of your food and your products in action. So maybe you're sharing some customer photos, and that's the whole highlight just dedicated to that. Rev, any other examples come to mind?
Yeah, I would say, like, what are the things that you're known for that aren't your food, right? Like, do you do special events? Are you into charity fundraising? Is somebody in your business well known for their celebrity or a part of their community? But like, You make a good point. Is if you think of the highlight bullets, like the tabs on your website, like what is the information that people need to make a transaction?
Got it.
Right.
So the about the information about the business. You also mentioned earlier like where are you located? Is that like right in? Are you suggesting you put like the address like right in your bio at the very top? Like, what are some of the other things that you think should absolutely be in the bio, like right at the top?
You can list your location in a couple of ways. So you can literally type the text in your bio. So if you're in New York City, or if you have a couple of locations, you can list out those cities. But if someone's landing on your page because they've heard about you from a friend, or however they get there, you need to know where you're located to see if it makes sense for them to order from you.
Yeah.
So you can type it in your bio. You can also add your business address as well. And that's part of the features of having a business profile. And then, there's contact information as well that you can add buttons. So whether it's an email, whether it's a phone number, however you prefer to be contacted.
Yeah, and I would say make sure that you have in the bio piece, like at least one sentence about what makes you special, right? So it could be what kind of food you serve or why people care about the business or whatever. But like, think of it this way. When somebody gets to your profile for the first time, it's a front door. You need to have a welcome mat, right? You need to have a handle for them to open. And so think of all the things that if somebody's going to spend 3 seconds, literally 3 seconds, what do they need to know? Who are you? What do you do? Where are you? And what's the next step?
Yeah. What about, I see
It's
this
like a dating profile.
Yeah, I see this a lot. Like what restaurateurs will do, say if they own 4 locations, they'll always tag the other locations and their personal handles. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if it makes sense for your business, if those things are important, then I would say yes. Like if you're a regional business and you're in 12 states, like you're not going to list out all states, but if all of your locations are in Virginia, you could say locations across Virginia. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you have like a famous chef and it's important to call them out in the bio, because like you're Charlie Palmer, right? Like, yes, you should put Charlie Palmer in the bio, but like if it's not, think of it this way. Don't think about your ego when you write your bio. Think about what does your customer or your guest need to make a decision or take action. And that's what should be in the bio. What is the very least amount of information that they need to either follow you and or place an order or make a reservation?
And I'll read a quick example from one of my favorite donut shops to kind of put this into, bring this to life. So PV Donuts, they're based in Providence, Rhode Island. Here's their profile. Pretty simple. Rhode Island's first specialty donut shop, family owned, made, rolled, cut, and dipped by hand, open Wednesday, Sunday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Order ahead, and they point to their link in the bio where you can order directly.
I love it. I feel like PVD Donuts is calling to me because I literally just sent them an email last week to be a guest. So it's so funny that you're using them as an example.
I was in Rhode Island last week, so there you go. It's all of us.
Yeah. So right now we're still on the first topic that we're going to be covering today, optimizing your profile. We've covered a lot, creating a business account, optimizing your profile itself. Anything we have not touched on under optimizing your profile that we need to dive into?
I got something. So Instagram business profiles allows you to put contact information, right? Phone number and email primarily. Why would you ever put an email in there that you're not going to check, right? So stupid. And I don't want to berate people, but like you put an email there so that somebody can reach out to you. Maybe they want to book a party. Maybe they want to have you cater their wedding. Maybe they need to cater their, I don't know. Right. But if you're going to put an email address, which you should, in the profile of your Instagram account, make sure it is an email you check. Right. Because there's nothing more frustrating than you're a consumer trying to do something with a business and you just end up in a black hole. Yeah, so
I love that.
You put an email you actually check.
I love that. Rory, do you have anything to add?
Well said. I think don't leave money on the table.
So we've had a few people join us since starting this conversation. I just want to remind you guys that if you have questions, feel free to write your questions in the comment section. We'll be sure to get to the questions at the very end with the Q&A. Thank you for joining us. So let's move on, unless there's anything else you want to drop on us regarding optimizing your profile, to number 2.
Let's rock.
All right, number 2. use order now buttons and stickers. What do we need to know about order now buttons and stickers?
I mean, I think it's, go ahead.
Okay. So April of last year, right? So about a year ago, Instagram introduced a couple of new features for Instagram stories that make it easier for restaurants to drive people directly to order. Okay. So if you use certain partners that Instagram is associating themselves with, you can add those stickers to your stories. So think about putting a picture of your pizza special with a sticker on top that says order now, and the person can click a button and get there. Now, we have some caveats with this because the partners Instagram does partner with, some of them are the third party apps. And I know Rev's got some, good insight on that and some opinions. So we have a caveat there, but it is a way to get people to order in a seamless way.
Okay, Rev, I gotta know, man. What are your opinions?
Well, I would tell you that you need to take advantage of the order now button, regardless of how you're taking the order, right? Humans we like instruction, right? We like to be told what to do, right? Nobody likes to think for themselves, right? So you want to make sure that if you can have access to the order now button, that you have the order now button, right? And with that, and you will get into this later, but in your content, you also have to tell people to order now, right? Now, if it was me, right, I would not direct people to third party. I would not send somebody to Grubhub or DoorDash or Uber Eats, because the ridiculously high commissions that you have to pay to do that, and the fact that they own your customer, right? The fact that you can't remarket to them, right? That being said, if you have the conversion system set up to get somebody to order from you on all other orders after the first one through Grubhub, then it's not the worst idea. You know what I mean? The worst idea would be not doing something.
So what do you mean by so you're talking
partner
about
with Toast too?
Third party to your own native platform. So if you had that set up, so once they get to this third platform, there's ways for them to move away from third to migrate to your own platform. So you can't, what you're saying, I just want to make sure I understand you, is you can go to third party if you have those other actions set up in place.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for Grubhub and DoorDash and Uber Eats, and Skip the Dishes, Deliveroo, whichever one you're using. So long as you do have a system that was built in to convert people over to your own online ordering. Yeah, and essentially that system basically just mimics what Grubhub's does. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Now, what we don't is calling out your third-party affiliations in your bio, because you're wasting precious real estate, and they can find you anyway on the marketplace. So let Grubhub take care of that marketing for you. Don't market for them anymore. But the stickers is just one feature that kind of gets the customer starting through that funnel. And like Rev said, if you have the process in place to after they're ordering from you through, say, Uber Eats or Grubhub, that you can convert them to order from you directly. But I do know one of the partners through this feature is Toast. So, yeah, and there's really easy guides online to figure out how to set these up. It's just an action button that you're setting up. So again, Google's your best friend, but I like a website called later.com. They've got a lot of great resources for marketing, and they have a really easy guide on how to set this all up.
Yeah, okay. It works with Chow Now as well. So if you're using Chow Now or Toast to do your online ordering, you could just link that button right in the bio.
All right, beautiful. So where do we go to find this button? I know this probably seems like really like obvious questions, but like right now, if I'm listening to this, I'm like, I need to get that button in my profile. Like, what's the step-by-step process to find that button or to implant or to embed that button in your profile?
So I'm opening up my phone now. You do have to go to your actions tab. So again, you have to have a business profile. But if you go to your settings, and let's see.
Throwing the
I don't want to waste too much time going through the back end because it's like a quick Google thing. But basically, you're going into the settings of your profile and you're adding an action, and you'll be able to set it up that way.
And the action is to implant or to embed a sticker that says buy now. And then from there, you have options to connect straight to a third party or Chow Now or Toast? Is there just like a drop down menu? Like what's that?
There's two things, right? So we're talking about a button in your profile.
Yep.
Right. So you want to make sure you have the order now button in your profile. But then also when you're posting stories, you can put a sticker in the story that directs people to do the same action.
Okay.
Right.
But you have to set up that action button first. Yeah.
So first set up the button, and then that will enable you to put stickers in your story.
Yes. Right. And for those of you who are watching live right now, I don't know if you can see.
Well,
this is in our ebook, but that's what the sticker looks like in a story. And this handle, it's Little Lemon. Okay. If you look up Little Lemon on Instagram.
Yep. And then once you go through these steps to get the button set up and the sticker set up, just to make sure I understand, the best practice is to redirect people straight to your own platform. And if you're using Toast, which is not paying us to say this right now, they're just the number one recommended platform on the show right now. They have the ability to basically link your Instagram straight to your POS.
Yeah. And if you get, I mean, Rory just mentioned the book, but if you download the ebook, we have a list of all the available USA and Canada partners that you can link that button into. And if you don't want to download the ebook, you could just Google that. So
got it. Beautiful. Thank you very much. And there will be a link to get that ebook. We'll have calls to action at the end. So if you guys are interested in that ebook, for sure, we'll let you know.
And if you're watching live, I already put the link in the chat, so you can just go get it.
Okay. Anything else we need to consider when it comes to using order now buttons and stickers?
No, use them.
And now we're going to talk about the third bullet you gave us today that we're going to be covering: Instagram shoppable, making your Instagram shoppable. Dive into it.
Now, this is awesome because I actually didn't know you could do this until Rory told me about it. So she should go into deep here because I'm grateful for her for making me aware that this can be done.
And after it, Rory.
So the thing is, when you think about Instagram shops, you probably think about retail, right? So in the female world, I think about makeup and, you might think about Nike, for example. But it's a really, really underutilized feature for restaurants. And you can set up your Instagram shop, not just for the perishable food that you sell, but for merchandise, okay? For complimentary products that you offer. Maybe it's a cookbook, maybe it's a mug or coffee beans, whatever it might be. You can set up a shop by having a business profile and have a little icon. You can tag your photos in your Instagram feed to make them shoppable. And because it's such an underutilized feature in the restaurant world, in the food and beverage world, I think it works even better because you're going to stand out that much more.
Yeah. So if I just got some new merch, some new hats or t-shirts, it would be good practice to basically just, show those off in your story and then put that button or that sticker in the story right there, and you can purchase those items. It would take you to is it Shopify that's integration? Or like what's going on? Like what's the integration there?
Yeah. So basically you have to, after you set up your business account, you have to connect it to a Facebook page. So you need that one as well. And then you are uploading your product catalog, and you can do it manually, but you can also use one of Facebook's partners. I do know Shopify is one of them, but they have a couple of other integrations. So either way you do it, you're setting up your catalog, basically. You get Facebook to approve it. And then you should have basically a shopping setting. You'll see like a new feature you can turn on. And you can start tagging your products. So say you take a photo, Mother's Day is coming up as we record this. Say you take a photo of your Mother's Day brunch special. You can tag it and have it linked to your product catalog where people can pre-order your Mother's Day brunch.
Okay.
So it's just creating that frictionless experience, less you're driving people to take an action, and you're just making it easy for them to get what they want in that moment.
So what exactly is the difference between we just covered having these stickers in our story, right, versus making Instagram shoppable? I mean, what exactly is different about these two items we're covering right now?
So stickers are for Instagram stories. The shoppable posts are for your feed. So those don't disappear. And let me show you an example. Okay, so Bear Burger, we talk about in our ebook. Bear Burger recently tagged a photo of their Brussels sprouts, I believe. They sell more than just burgers. And if you go and click on that, you'll see it. There's a little like shopping cart or like a shopping bag icon in the top right corner of any post that is shoppable. They did it also on a really amazing looking cheeseburger. It's got bacon, it's got onion rings. So if you see that picture, right, and you have an opportunity to click on it and pre-order it immediately for your lunch, wouldn't you want to do that if it's seamless? So you can literally tap your finger on that photo. It says view products, okay? It will pull up the product in the catalog and you can access it right away. So that is a really cool feature. Now, the extra part though, with having this Instagram shop set up is that you can actually get the swipe up feature on your Instagram stories to your Instagram shop, even if you don't have 10,000 followers. So it's just, again, you know, instead of saying link in bio to order your juicy cheeseburger for, you know, Friday, you can directly send them there to your shop.
Got it. Rev, do you have anything to add?
No, Rory covered all of the points here.
So when you say the catalog, is that catalog, where does this catalog live? Is this on our website or is this in a third party? What kind of paint that picture for me a little bit better?
You have to set it up on the back end of Facebook. And if you use Shopify, for example, then it's a pretty easy integration. I think they also partner with Big Commerce. So it's just a matter of, you know, diving into it once you do want to set up a shop.
So
and
using meals like a merchandise item. You're taking a photo of the meal like you'd have a photo of a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And what about tying that to your, like, how are you processing this? Stripe?
So there's actually two different kind of Instagram shops, and so there are some places like Beer Burger where if you click on that photo, okay, and there's a button that says view on website. Like it pulls up for those of you who are watching this live. Let me see if I can get it to focus.
It's very
No, you're just gonna have to forget it. Okay, so if you tap on a shoppable post, it'll take you to that, you know, item as if it were ready to buy. And there's a button that says view on website. Okay. So you do have to have one more click to get to the website. The second type of Instagram shop, the button, instead of saying view on website, it will say add to cart. So it's an instant buy, basically.
Okay.
Now, Instagram likes that version because they get a cut of the sales. So that's for people who have stored their information as a customer. If you store your information on Instagram, that you can buy directly within the platform. So that's good for Instagram. It's good for the customer experience. Not as great for the restaurants because you're losing some money on that. So you just have to look at the difference and see what makes sense to you. And I would recommend starting out with the version that, you know, you have to click onto your native website.
Got it. And this
you
is
basically
all...
you want to remove friction, right? Like, how do I get you to take the action? And so these are just ways to complete a step. That's
so
what
they remove friction. You're saying the fewer hoops to jump through, the better.
Correct.
The less click, the better. Anything else relative to making your Instagram shoppable that we haven't touched on yet?
Ooh, I think we covered it. I would just emphasize that merch is like really cool to add to your shop, especially if you have your brand is like very well recognized or you've got some quirky slogans. What are you holding there, Rev?
A trucker hat from Riley's Ribcage, which is the best ribs in New Jersey, but literally, like, people want to buy this hat, you know, get it to them.
Yeah. And it's free advertising for your business. If you have customers walking around with your hat or your sweatshirt, like I'm wearing a shirt that says donuts right now.
I'm curious, there's a lot of options out there for us to go through to get our merchandise. What are some of the tools and services out there that you guys direct your customers to if they are looking to brand and put their logos and stuff on merchandise?
I mean, I come from a merch background in the music business. There's umpteen amount of options. Again, with me, I don't want to house and ship and store stuff. So I would have somebody else print, maintain, and sell all my merchandise for me. So, but if you don't want to do that, if you want to have the t-shirts in your store and you want to do fulfillment, like find a local t-shirt guy and have them printed. You know what I mean?
If you're choosing that first option where we want it to be kind of like on demand, you order it, they print it, they send it. Who do you like to use for that service?
There are literally thousands of options. I would tell somebody to just Google online, like t-shirt fulfillment or merchandise fulfillment restaurant. Find the one that's cheapest, easiest, and you like it. Like, it's a commodity business at this point.
Gotcha.
And I'll say for Dallas Donut Fest, what we did last year, it found a local print partner who prints on demand. So what that means is, I didn't order 500 t-shirts ahead of time and hope to God that they sell. Plus, I don't have the storage in my house for that. I've got a toddler running around. She's going to destroy it.
Yeah.
So we found a partner. Okay. We set up an online shop. It's really easy to create mock-ups. And as soon as someone clicks the order button, that's when the print partner knows to fulfill it. So you're not holding on to inventory. Now, if you're a restaurant, you might want to hold a little bit of inventory by your front register, right? Like mugs or t-shirts, hats, that kind of thing. But you don't need to have a whole retail store's worth.
Yeah, I can almost see that being like added to the checklist. You're going through, you're doing your par stocks. You have like four, like maybe like three sizes, or like whatever your sizes are. You have three of those sizes on hand, right? And you go through and, I only have two sizes left. We must have sold one. Call to action, order, a new shirt. And you always just have a little bit on hand. But like that's an easily automatable thing that you could do, and you could train your staff to like get that all set up. All right, cool. I think we can move on to the fourth bullet, which is create a guide of products. So what do you mean by that?
So there's a feature, and almost everybody has this, called guides, right? And you basically go through and you would create a guide when you're in your Instagram profile, and it allows you to tag either posts you've already put in your feed or other people's content, right? And so then it creates almost like a flip book. Right. So somebody goes to your guides tab and you can have a guide for like your events. You can have a guide for your menu. You can have a guide for your merchandise. You can have let's say you're very active in your community. You could have, a guide for other restaurants or other businesses. And so basically it's really simple to do. It's a little difficult to explain, but the minute you pick it up and you click guides and you click one, it'll be like, oh yeah, I just blah, blah. And you can search by location. You can search by your own content. You can search by a number of things. It's really easy to create guides. Like me, I'm not a restaurant, but I have a guide like my favorite pizzas in New Jersey, right? If you follow me and you want to know where I like to eat pizza or where I think you should eat pizza in New Jersey, you just click my guide and I'll show you all of them, right? But you can do that with your own content as a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah, it's super easy to set up. So basically you hit your plus button on your profile. It gives you options, right? Do you want to create a post, a story, a reel? I mean, there's so many things to do on Instagram these days. One of those options is a guide. So you tap on that. There's 3 different types of guides. You can create a guide of places. So say this would be more relevant probably for like a travel blogger. There's products. So those are products you might recommend that are sellable. And then there's posts. So it doesn't have to be always a shoppable guide. But again, if you do have your shop set up, it's just going to create less friction and an easier experience for your customer. So if you do click on the products, you have the option of adding products from your shop, okay, your Instagram shop. And this, again, is not done often in the restaurant world. One example that I like to use or tell people about is Snap Kitchen. And they're all about like healthy prepared meals. So if you go onto their Instagram profile and you hit that guide icon, you'll see they have one, Snap Kitchen bestsellers, our best paleo meals, top 10 comfort foods for winter. And you better believe they're driving people to their products, to their meals.
Right. But let's say, let's use a couple restaurant examples, right? Yeah. Let's say that you have more gluten-free options than your competitor. Okay. You could go create a gluten-free guide. Right. So if somebody is going to your restaurant and be like, hey, here's all of our gluten-free things. Right. Or let's say that you have a decent amount of vegetarian options and you want to cater to that audience. You can have a vegetarian guide. Let's say that you're a gastropub and you're known for having really cool craft beers. You could have craft beer pairing notes. Like, hey, if you're ordering the burger, like basically you could take the content you've already created and curate it into an experience that aligns with somebody's specific interest to your business, right? Or you could have like a wine pairing guide, whatever. The point is, it helps you organize content in a way that becomes relevant to your guests for an interest or thing that they're into.
Yeah, and as I'm listening to you talk, what's going through my mind is a lot behind every great restaurant's a great person, and that restaurant is typically an extension of that person, their interests, and their higher purpose, whatever their why is, right? And you can use these guides to kind of feed into whatever that why is, whatever you're an expert on beyond the restaurant industry, but you can kind of use this to kind of feed into your culture and the change you're trying to make into the world. And maybe your passion's like hip hop, right? You could have I don't know, like a creative, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud because there's somebody out that we're working with in Exeter 7 North Coffee, and like his passion was hip hop and creators. So you could have like a local creators guide where there's other people who are creators and you're trying to promote like local talent or something like that, but it gets behind your mission. I mean, maybe is that like a good example, or is there a better example you can think of?
You could definitely curate posts from other people's accounts as well, if that's part of your
Promoting others' collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You could also curate posts of, the more personal side of your business, like our story, our people, so you're basically just curating any post you put on your main feed that features non-food stuff. And I think about guides as really relevant for Gen Z because I'm a millennial, but Gen Z is the first generation to have grown up with the internet. They have never walked into a restaurant without a phone in their pocket. They
Right.
probably never walked into a restaurant without knowing what the menu is ahead of time.
Crazy.
And they're looking a lot on social media, right? So if you have all of that information curated for them in an experience on your Instagram page, and you make it easy for them to know ahead of time, I know exactly what I'm going to order. And I want this special because, it looks really great. Then you've pre-sold them.
Got it. Any other details around creating a guide of products that we need to get into that we have not gotten into up to this point?
Just get started. The first one's not going to be perfect. The first one's not going to be perfect. It might not even be awesome.
Just like anything.
Just go create one.
Yeah. And just a reminder, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but everything that we're talking about right now is in your ebook, step-by-step processes to how to execute these things we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. We're back. We have one more bullet to hit, and then we're going to do some Q&A. So the last bullet, use strong calls to action. So what does that look like?
So people need to be told what to do, right? Your guests need to know what is the thing that you want them to do and how to do it, right? So if you post a picture of your pizza of the day or your hamburger of the week, and you don't end it with click the link in our bio now or place an order now, you're like leaving breadcrumbs on the table, right? You have to tell people what is the next step. You have to have a strong call to action that lets them know what is the thing that they're supposed to do next, right? You might be like, well, it should be obvious. We're a restaurant. Like, yes, it should be, but we're humans. We're stupid. Okay. We really like to be told what to do. We follow directions well, most of us, right?
Yeah.
So you don't just want to post a picture of your chicken wings. You want to tell me what I should do. You don't just want to say, hey, we're open on Thursdays. You want to tell me to make a reservation. So you have to make sure that your post has a strong call to action on what is the next thing you want me to do and tell me how to do it. So let's say that your post, your content is about getting me to sign up for your email blast or download your app or make a reservation. You have to tell me, click the link in bio to download our app. Click the link in our bio to join our email blast. Click the link in our bio to make a reservation, right? And I think I had an example of, I used to keep a link of it to my desk and a link, but like Shake Shack, anytime they promote their app, they'll do a carousel of stories of like, okay, go here, click, swipe, download here, press this button. And you literally get, it's like, here, I have a under the desk elliptical, right? To use my elliptical, I get given a guide. Do this, step 1, step 2, step 3. Yeah. Like you could create that as a post and in there, call to action. Hey, order a pizza. Make sure you do this. Don't forget to add the pepperoni. Like use strong calls to action. Okay, now here's the thing. This is super important. Everybody write this down. Get a pen. If you're listening later, write a pen. If you're watching us live, get a pen. Okay. How often should you have a call to action on online ordering or to place an order? Okay. 1 out of every 3 pieces of content needs to have a call to action about placing an order. 1 out of every 3 pieces of content needs to have a call to action about placing an order. Now, there are 2 types of call to actions. Okay. There's soft CTAs and there's hard CTAs. A soft CTA is when you say, hey, check out our sandwich of the week. It's got mortadella and mozzarella and provolone and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of that post, you say, click the link in our order buyer now, right? So the content is about the thing in the photo or the thing that you're doing, right? And the CTA is at the end. It's not an afterthought, but it's the final thought. Okay, that's a soft CTA. A hard CTA is when the content is actually about the call to action. Okay. So the content is, hey, download our app. Our app does this cool thing. Or, make sure you order direct. We keep more of the money and we get to help you more. So when the content is actually about the action, right? It's not an afterthought. That's a hard CTA. Now, why do I bring that up? So remember I said 1 out of 3 pieces of content needs to have a CTA. Okay. 1 out of 3 CTAs needs to be a hard CTA, right? So if you're looking at somebody's profile and they have the top 9, latest 9 posts, 3 of those 9 should have a call to action, and 1 of those 3 needs to be a hard call to action. That content needs to be about the call to action, not an afterthought. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I want to make sure I understand. So a hard call to action would have been that Shake Shack example where you're like, boom, like order now. And then if this is a story, then every other story after the call to action is the step-by-step process too. But the first post would be a soft call to action, and the remaining posts thereafter are hard calls to action showing you exactly what to do. Or is that not the right terminology? Am I getting
we'll use Instagram. Okay. 1 out of every 3 posts to Instagram needs to have a call to action.
Yep.
Okay. So imagine you have 9 posts, right? You've posted 9 days in a row. 3 of those 9 will have a call to action. Of the 3 calls to action, 1 has to be a hard CTA. So in the Shake Shack example, they want you to download their app.
Yeah.
So the content in the hard CTA is about the app. It's not about burgers and French fries and chicken sandwiches. It's, hey, we're Shake Shack and we have an app. And when you download our app, you get to earn royalty points and you can order ahead and you don't got to wait in line, right? So it's a hard CTA. And then what they do, which is really cool, if it's an Instagram feed post, they'll do a carousel. So it's multiple images. And then the images in each one will show you what to do. Go to iTunes store, press this button, download this, enter your email address. And so they give you literally like a guide, like a step-by-step manual on how to do the thing.
So I got the hard call to action down pretty good. Give me one more example of a soft call to action.
A soft call to action. So it could be like, hey, everybody, we had this great birthday party here this week, and you should book a birthday party here too. Click the link in our bio to book your party reservation, right? So it's not necessarily a hard one. The easiest soft call to action, the easiest one to example is you post a picture of food, right? You describe the food, you talk about the food, and then at the end you go, get yours now, place the link, click the link in our bio.
Beautiful. Awesome. Anything else to drop on us regarding best practices using strong calls to action?
I'll just add that I think a lot of restaurant operators are afraid to talk about calls to action because they don't want to be seen as salesy, right? But you have to remember a couple of things. And one is that not everyone is seeing every single post. I look at my own posts, but I remind myself not everyone is seeing them because of the algorithm. And that goes for Facebook and Twitter and every other platform as well. So that's the one thing. And the second thing is, if a customer is following you on social media, they are giving you permission to market to them. So take advantage of that. There's nothing that's more frustrating. One of my favorite donut shops in the whole country, and I'm not going to call out names, but they post their Instagram strategy, and I'm using that in air quotes. They will post a picture of an item, and sometimes it's just the name of the menu item, and that's it. Not like if we build it, they will come. You've got to tell your customers where to go next from there, right?
Got it. Awesome. This has been tons of value. Thank you guys for joining us, both Rory and Rev. Any final thoughts before we start to wrap it up and open it up for Q&A?
I would tell you to go. Thank you for having us. This is super fun. And we're here to help. But go download the ebook, because there's actually some more tactics in there. We did it as 5 and we put in more in there. So go get the ebook. There's some bonus tactics where we talk about how to maximize for swipe ups, what you can do in Instagram Live. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. And then there's also it's kind of hard. We're doing this as an audio podcast, right? It's kind of hard to do these things and not be able to show it to you. In the book, we have screenshots and examples and links, and it's literally a guide. Like it will show you how to do all the things.
Where do we go? What's the website?
So it's bit.ly, which is a bit.ly. If you don't know what a bit.ly is, it's a link shortener. So bit.ly/followers orders, right? bit.ly/followers orders, and it'll bring you right to the page. The ebook's free. We're not trying to charge money here. We want to help you. So go to bit.ly/followers orders, put in your email address. You can get a link to download it right there. We're also going to send you an email and put it in right there. See what I just did? I did the call to action, then I walked you through all the step. That's called the handheld close.
Yeah. If you can't remember all that, just head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/799. I'll link to it in the show notes.
Perfect. Do that.
Yeah. So let's open it up for some questions. What do you guys have for questions? Anybody, if you guys have questions, feel free just to throw your hands up. I know there are some questions going into the chat as we're going. Did you guys have any questions that you saw that you want to address first?
Okay, see one about how do you go about tagging other accounts' content, adding those to your guides. Okay. You actually don't need an approval process for it. I do it all the time on my account, and I don't run a restaurant. So if you're tagging other accounts, the type of guide you're creating is about basically like posts that you have saved. Okay. So the first step is you need to save any posts that you want to include in that type of guide. If you see that bookmark little icon next to a photo, you just tap it. And actually, if you long tap it, you can create categories of saved posts. So I've got stuff on the back end of my Instagram. I've got saved posts I like for different holidays. I love talking about limited time offers. So I've got one about, the best donuts for Mother's Day 2021, stuff about national shipments, stuff about third-party delivery, like all kinds of categories. So when I go to create my posts, I hit the guide button and then I hit posts. It pulls up all of your saved posts. So that could include your own posts, but it could also include your, local business partners, anyone you collab with or that you want to highlight. That's not necessarily a hard sell. And then, you can just tap it, add it, you add a description. It walks you through pretty simply.
Yeah, like let's say that there are some other businesses in town that you're close with. Maybe there's a barber or a nail salon or a home improvement store. Like there's other places that you're like on the same block as, or whatever, you're friends with the owner. You guys could all create a guide of like other local businesses we approve, right? And you could have a plumber and a hardware store. And then if you get them to do that guide, hopefully you're like sending each other leads, basically. You know what I mean?
Got it. Jay, his hand is up. I love it, using the tools. Go ahead and unmute your mic, Jay, and go and ask your question.
Yeah, sure. So kind of following up on that. So it's a guide. So unless they're finding that, or is it showing like a post on your feed? Am I reposting almost like you'd share a story? So it's like a post within a post as far as someone else's content, or are they having to go a couple clicks in to find that guide, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain this stuff without a visual, right?
Yeah. Do you have your phone nearby?
Sure.
I'll walk you through real quick. So you basically just you can go to my profile as an example, Donut Digest, and you'll see different icons
across the top, right?
Profile, right? So there's like the main grid, there's Reels, there's IGTV, and then there's an icon that looks like a book.
Right.
That's guides. So if you tap on that, that's where your guides are saved.
Great. So as far as somebody seeing it, is it going to pop up on a feed ever, or they're going to have to been to my profile, swiped over, and then found the guide? And then is there any way to redirect somebody directly to the guide, either from like a website, from a post, and just send them in there versus them finding it 4 things over and that looks like a book and they don't know because we're just learning
yes.
too,
Yes. No, that's a great question. So as of now, you cannot put the guide in your feed. You can share a guide to your stories. So that is personally what I do whenever I create a guide. You hit the 3 dots, you share to, You could share to someone personally, or you hit the paper icon, you share it to your stories. And then in your stories, you can, tag the people in the guide. The other thing too, is when you create a guide of products, or, like other people's posts, you can tag those people in the description and they're alerted to it. So it's just going to get more reach that way. One other thing I'll mention is that as of today, Instagram does not allow you access to analytics for your guides, which is unfortunate, but I suspect that will change in the coming months. Because, if you can see, for example, how many people are saving your guide to, I don't know, the gluten-free, your gluten-free menu, or your best summer barbecue items, then you're going to want to capture that information and reach out to those customers again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well, that was actually one of your questions you had, Jay, about analytics and retargeting.
It was.
While you have the mic, do you want to dive deeper into that, or did she answer your question?
Pretty much answered it as far as like the guide side of it, but let's go back to like the shoppable experiences. So, it makes sense it seems like it makes sense whether anybody actually bought something online or not, just to be able to showcase your menu and have a little bit more depth in it. So, I feel like, there's a single post, and so it's kind of a flat area, but with these like shoppable experiences, here's a menu item, we're clicking, now you're seeing more menu items, and it's kind of giving everything in Instagram. My question, I guess, is, that click one deeper into seeing those shoppable, like kind of almost menu items or product guide kind of thing, is that something that is tracked, as far as analytics? And then as far as someone clicking that and making an online order, are we able to retarget those people through like, the Instagram and Facebook advertising by knowing that they have at least clicked? And is there any way for them to like put it with those pixels to see, like, not like we know they bought something, they went to the website, but do we know they went through this specific way through the shoppable like experience?
I like the way you're thinking. You're getting really deep into the data here. I honestly can't answer all of those questions, but I will say this. Instagram, Facebook, any social media platform, these are tools for you to funnel customers into your systems. Okay. So the ultimate goal is actually to get their direct contact information, but the more action you do get someone to take, Rev, you might have a little more information on this, but the more action you get someone to take, the better chance you will be able to retarget them later with ads. But, you don't have the contact information of your followers. You don't have their email addresses or their phone numbers. Once they order from you natively, you will. So that is really powerful information. Mm-hmm. And using these features will get them into your system quicker. I have to imagine that there are ways that you can retarget folks that are interacting with your shops. You should be able to get analytics on that. Rev, do you have anything else to add there?
Amen. You definitely can go build custom audiences of people who have taken action on your profile, right?
Right.
So it would specifically be somebody who tapped your guide, but I would look at it this way: like, would knowing that somebody specifically clicked on a guide be a tactful piece of information you could use? Yeah. But arguably, if they're tapping on anything, they're engaged, right?
At least we got it. Yeah.
So.
Wes, I see you with your hand up. Before we come to you, Jay, any final questions while you have the mic?
I guess the last thing was, so the only difference between those stickers requires you to go through one of these third-party platforms like your Shopify or your Uber Eats or something like that. But using the shoppable area, it's directly to website if we want to, right? So we can link directly to anything we want to in shoppable, but as far as an actual sticker is only through those approved like third-party things, right?
You got it. For now, cool. That could change.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you.
All right, Wes, coming to you. Feel free to unmute your mic. I'll lower your hand. Go for it.
All right. So we're talking about the marketing side, and I definitely get that. So my concept is a board game cafe. So this is very great information for me because, linking everything into Instagram shoppable, Facebook shoppable, and then having sort of native hosting on a website and pushing to that native hosting on the website. It's a really big deal for my concept, in addition to merch and then food orders. Do you have a resource or someone that I should reach out to about sort of the back end of setting up that? I posted in the chat sort of a list of the partners that integrate with Facebook, Shopify, BigCommerce, and others. so setting that up to where that ties into my POS system. So I have my inventory management in one place. And then I'm able to use that to update sort of Facebook and then Instagram shop to make sure that people are buying things that I have inventory in as I push these orders out. But sort of the logistics of getting that all set up and talking to each other, I'm having some problems with that, specifically integrating with Toast.
Do you have a website set up yet?
Not
you're
at
in the
this time.
process?
I would, because I'm trying to figure out what I have a Wix domain and I've started setting up through Wix, but it's just initial.
Okay. Rev, were you going to say something?
No, I don't have any expertise in building stores with Shopify or
Sure.
BigCommerce Channel Advisor. So, but I'm sure that there's a million people out there that when I need help with something, I go to Upwork. I go to
Okay.
Upwork and I search for people that do the thing and then I hire them.
Upwork is great. And so is Fiverr. So Fiverr.
Yeah.
And basically you're just,
I encourage the 4,000 people listening to this. If you know somebody who is good at what Wes is looking for, feel free to reach out to me, Eric@restaurantstoppable.com. I will connect you guys via email. The power of broadcasting requests out. Hopefully we get something back from Wes. I don't see any other hands going up. So now is your last chance to ask your questions. If you have any questions remaining, going once, going twice. I think we are wrapped up. Rory and Rev, thank you guys so much for coming on the show and enlightening us around how to migrate people from third party to your own platforms. Really tons of great stuff here, especially with Instagram. I was enlightened. I hope my listeners are too. Before I let you go, this is something we do at the end of every episode. You already kind of gave us the call to action. First, call somebody out. Rev, I'm going to put you on the spot. Rory already called somebody out 2 weeks ago. So who do you respect and admire in this industry? Somebody who, you've seen a lot of restaurants, you come across a lot of people. Who's crushing it and you think needs to be made an example
of? Robert Garino. He is the CEO, and this is his words, head coach of Five Napkin Burger in New York City. They have 4 locations, but he's a partner in 9 other restaurants. So he's got 14 restaurants. He is involved in every part of his business and not at a micromanagement level. He has a working knowledge of what every single person's role is and what they need to get it done so that when they need something from him, he doesn't have to try to figure it out, right? So like he hires the right people to do the right job. He lets them do the job. He understands enough about the job to help them when they need the support. And he's one of those people that understands that everything requires a budget, right? Like you can't just be like, I'm not opening a budget for that. He doesn't ask the question of what if it doesn't work? He asked the question, well, what if it did work? Right. And so if you go to him and you go, Robert, here's this idea, or here's this tech you need, or here's the thing you should try. Robert's first inclination is not what most restaurant operators are, which is that's never going to work, or I'm not interested. He's like, well, what if it did work? Like, what would that look like? And then he starts to explore it from a curiosity standpoint. And he's a really smart guy, really, really successful. The food at all his restaurants is amazing. And he's a lot of interesting things to say. So.
And that was Robert. Hit me with the last name one more time.
Guarino, Garino.
All right, Robert Garino. Look, I'm coming after you. I'd love to get you on the show. And we already had the call to action to get the ebook. Again, head over to restaurantstoppable.com/799. I'll link to it right in there for you. And how can we connect with both you, Rory, and Rev if we want to follow your work or know more about you? What's the best way to connect?
I'm pretty active on Instagram, as you would imagine. I'm at Donut Digest, same with Facebook. And you can check out donutdigest.com, head to the blog section for tons of resources on marketing, social media tips, and everything in between.
Go for it, Rev.
Cool. I'm at Rev Ciancio on every single social network. That's REVCIANCIO. Most people are like, Rev, I don't spell that and can't spell that. You can Google expert burger taster. I will be the top 7 results. That's one way to find me. And I also run another Instagram account that has 344,000 humble brag followers called Fun with Fries. And the only pictures you will see on it are French fries. So if you're interested in French fries, go to Fun with Fries. And then there's a link to Rev Ciancio in that bio. So remember you asked the question earlier, should I link to other people in my bio? There's an example. So
I love it. Beautiful. And I just another reminder that Rory Balkin, her first episode was actually you joined us during the pandemic, but your first full feature episode was 793. If you guys want to check that out, be sure to check that out. Lots of calls to action today. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out and enlightening us. There is no questioning. You are both unstoppable.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Happy to help.